Hello and welcome to a very festive AppeGeek. This is a fun holiday twist on a cooking show where three geeky friends come together to bring our favorite fandoms to life by whipping up tasty dishes in our home kitchens based on and inspired by our favorite games, shows, movies, and more. I'm Rach.
I'm Nora.
I'm Geralt of Rivia.
Oh boy.
Wrong. That's Jeremy, and we are three geeks who play with our food. Welcome to our third episode. I can't believe we're on episode 3.
No, I can't believe we filmed 2 of these already.
I know. This is our first holiday episode. It is all about the world of The Witcher.
Yeah, Henry Cavill.
Not going to be here. Probably going to correct us if we get some stuff wrong, but that's okay.
Hey.
It's still going to be a good time.
Take it.
Yeah.
Where's Jeremy?
Oh, speaking of people not... Oh.
Hey guys.
Oh. What are you doing?
I'm here for the White Wolf episode.
Wow.
Okay, all right. It's not what we had in mind when we said dress festive, but...
You said White Wolf.
We did say that.
We did say that, yes. Witcher,
Yep.
White Wolf, yeah.
And you took that.
That is the thing that
Ran
happened.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And is this now?
All right. I like what you've done with your hair and
Thanks.
your forehead. It's special. It's special.
Yeah, I even rented a roach for the day.
You rented a roach.
Yes. If
Like
you-
a cockroach or like a game roach?
A horse.
The horse.
You rented a horse.
The horse.
Yeah, if you look
Where-
outside, he's on top of the shed right now, because that's where they usually end up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't...
You ready to
I
do
don't-
this?
how are we going to cook anything with a horse on the shed?
I don't even know what to say.
Neighbors are going to complain. Horse is going to fall through the
What is
shed.
happening?
There goes my paddleboard. It's crushed by a horse.
I can fix this. It's called Axie.
What?
Yeah, just... I'm dressed normal now.
What were we just talking about?
Henry
Right,
Cavill?
Witcher episode. I don't know what happened there. Okay, yeah, so this is our episode covering the world of The Witcher. And when I say that, I mean books, show, game. It's also our holiday, our first of our holiday episodes. We had noticed what Netflix has been doing with #Witchmas, what CD Projekt Red does with encouraging modders to bring like festive holiday elements to the game. And we ourselves had thought we really want to do something for Christmas, holidays, New Year's, all of that. We thought it'd be perfect to just smush that together, jump in on that Witcher Christmas thing and go with this. Witcher also is something that we're big fans of, so it just seemed perfect. I know for me, I love the show, I play the game, I mostly mod the game excessively and don't ever advance the storyline, but that's fun for me. Roach currently is wearing a big Christmas wreath everywhere I go, and I may or may not take that off, whatever.
You also LARP the bathtub scene, like, every day.
Oh boy.
What? Because I take a bath?
Yeah.
It's normal, right?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be like the smelly Witcher.
True.
Oh.
But yeah, no, so this seemed like the perfect thing to do our holiday episode on. You're playing the game.
Yeah, I'm playing the game. I am a completionist when it comes to open world games, so I still am avoiding the Skellige Isles because there's so much to do and it is almost overwhelming. Plus Forza Horizon 5 just came out and I'm kind of addicted to that as well. Nora, how'd you get into the fandom?
Well, I watched gameplay. I watched my husband Bill. Hi, Bill. He played the game on PlayStation, so that's where I was introduced to it. And then, I love Henry Cavill, so I heard he was going to be in a bathtub, and so that was it.
There you go. I mean, what else do you need to sell The Witcher? I love the show. I actually was a little skeptical about it. Jeremy wanted to watch it because he'd already been playing the game. I was like, I don't know. I had a bad taste in my mouth from the end of Game of Thrones. And I was like, I don't know if I want to jump into another fantasy theory series. And I just love it.
It was so good.
I want to read the books, but they're like most other things on my list. They just go on a big list of books to read, and then I just end up drawing pictures instead of reading them. So, that's where we are.
I read the books over the summer in a very appropriate setting on the beach.
Yeah, super similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we decided to come up with our holiday feast based on this. Nora, tell us a little bit about what we came up with and how we came to this conclusion.
Well, we knew we wanted a holiday, so we wanted it a little bit special. And as opposed to Cowboy Bebop, where they had to fake their nice food, The Witcher is full of fancy, rich, luxurious food. So we decided to go for a bougie comfort food meal because that's what you want. You want to be cozy and eat some good food for the holidays.
Yeah, that's what the holidays are all about to me. We eat stuff we don't normally eat, whether it's bougie and fancy or it's just something that's special for the holidays. But you also want those comforts, your traditions, your whatever. A lot of our food, all of our food comes from the game, just because that is a very easy place to find a lot of food. And a lot of it comes from specifically the Blood and Wine DLC, but I don't think all of it does.
No, my drinks do not.
So the dish I came up with for our appetizer course is the Camembert with Baguette. Both those items are also separate in the game, but you can get them together as well. We decided we wanted to go with the together version just because this is a holiday feast, so we wanted it to be as fancy as possible. So we put together a baked Camembert recipe. A lot of people, baked brie is an important part of their holidays. It's not for me. I don't like that stuff. But we thought the Camembert fits that like baked cheese holiday thing, and it's comes straight from the game. So we spiced ours up with a spiced cranberry jam that we made from scratch. That's probably going to make a ton of extra for you guys. So can be used as something you can eat on all winter or something you can give away as a Christmas gift. We also added some candied or glazed walnuts to ours and just decorated it up all nice and pretty. I think it's going to be really great.
I'm looking forward to that. I love Camembert. It's always on. I always have it for the holidays. And I can't wait for the spiced cranberry jam. It's going to taste like Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And for our main course, I chose beef bourguignon, bourbon ball, hard like GIF.
Beef bourguignon. Beef bourguignon. No.
Beef bourguignon.
Beef bourgogne.
Bourgeois.
Like the dubstep artist.
No. Beef bourgeois. That's close enough. It's close enough. It's bougie and it's beef.
That's right.
We could just call it burgundy.
That is another name, burgundy beef. Yep.
Yeah, burgundy beef.
It's going to be just a slow-cooked, just comfy beef stew. And I'm looking forward to it.
Comfy but fancy beef stew.
It is good, yes. I'm going to cut the carrots in a diagonal, and that instantly makes everything fancy.
Well, it's got wine in it, too, so that's fancy, I think.
Or that's a Tuesday.
Speaking of drinking, what'd you whip up for us in terms of drinks?
So drinks, I decided to do something intoxicating like Witcher potions typically do. I went Superior Cat. What I really like is that I was able to find a lot of real-world analogs to what is in the game. So berberant root or berberant berries was burberries, and then Moliero ended up just being black pepper. A few other things like that. It does have kirsch in it. It's also got some spiced rum, and it is deceptively intoxicating.
Do you know a fun fact about the cat potion? It was the first potion made just for Witchers.
That is very cool. I didn't know that.
In the game, yes.
Another fun fact is I had no idea that burberries were an actual thing. I thought it was just a very expensive brand of clothing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And scarves.
Yes. So keeping in mind that you might get really intoxicated with this, I came up with some white honey as well, which you might remember from the game clears intoxication effects. and protects you from hypnosis. So you guys don't get any right now. But
That's an odd thing to
Don't
say.
worry.
It is an odd thing to say.
don't worry about
And
it.
then, like, is hypnosis normally a thing we need to worry about at the holidays? Like, I know Santa creeps on everybody, but is he hypnotizing us? I don't know.
That could explain a lot, though.
Could.
Odd thing to say. You're correct. Anyways, so white honey is really refreshing. It is completely alcohol free, and it tastes great.
What makes up white honey? Are we just drinking honey? Because
No,
that might
so it's
not
gonna
be so great for our health.
It will be some ginger beer, some elderflower lemonade with some rose water and rosemary in it as well,
Okay, well, you
And-
had me at rose.
Great.
and honey, of course.
Yes. Our dessert course, we took straight out of the game, a chocolate souffle. This was something that Nora and I were both really excited about. I had this weird thing. I somehow heard the word souffle as a kid, and I got really obsessed with it. I thought that it was like the epitome of fancy cooking. So I decided I was going to make them in an easy bake oven. I made these monstrosities that are mostly, I think it was just like flour and some oil and vanilla extract, and I called it a souffle. And bless them, my parents ate it with a forced grin every time. So I'm really excited to get to make something that is not like borderline poison. Hopefully, if it turns out, I will actually get to make it again sometime for my parents, and they'll know I actually know what I'm doing.
That'd be nice.
So-
It's a little intimidating. I've always wanted to make one, but they terrified me. So, but I practice, and I'm ready to get in there and see how we do.
How could you not be excited about a chocolate omelet?
I mean, that's true.
It's so weird. But, we're also going to make a little eggnog custard sauce to go on that. That's not from the game. That's just a little added festive touch we decided to put on our holiday feast.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a rundown of our dishes.
I'm ready to get started.
Let's do it. Let's jump in and get cooking.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get Roach off the shed.
Not
Oh,
again.
boy.
Not again. Make sure he's got his wreath on.
Will do. All right.
Hey friends, so we're going to jump straight into our first recipe of our Holiday Witcher Feast episode. And our very first recipe is our baguette with Camembert and cranberry jam and glazed walnuts. We're going to start first with the cranberry jam because that is the most time-intensive part of this otherwise pretty simple recipe. So to do that, it's really straightforward, really simple. We're just going to add a few ingredients to a medium-sized pot or saucepan and cook that over medium heat for about 10 to 12 minutes until you start to see your cranberries burst and pop. And then we will blend it down to where it has a nice jam-like consistency. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add 12 ounces of fresh cranberries. It's really important to use fresh here or you will throw off the consistency for this jam. So don't try to use already canned cranberries or anything like that. Frozen, a lot of the times, have already been heated and have popped, so that will also mess things up. If you can get fresh, that's what you really need to do here. So we're going to add 12 ounces of those to our pot. That's about one full bag. We're going to add 1/2 cup of turbinado sugar. Now, if you're not familiar with turbinado sugar, it looks like this. It's a coarse sugar crystal. It's kind of brownish, and it's also called sugar in the raw sometimes. It's just a more raw, original pressing of the sugar. If you're going to substitute out white sugar or brown sugar because you can't find this, that's okay. But it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, so make sure you Google what those ratios need to be. This will give it a richer, deeper flavor, so we definitely recommend going with the turbinado if you can find it. We're also going to add 3/4 cup regular plain old granulated white sugar. We're going to add the zest from one orange. You can do this with like a very fine grater, or they make zesting tools. That's the slower way to do it. The main thing you want to do when you're zesting an orange though is make sure you're not getting too much of the white part of the peel, the pith. That'll give it a bitter flavor that you don't want your cranberry jam to have. And then in this bowl, I've got some mixed spices. We have a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, and a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and just a little dash of black pepper. So we're going to add all of that in, along with a 1/4 cup of water. And like I said before, we're just going to simmer that over medium heat for about 10 to 12 minutes until our cranberries start to burst. Then we'll blend it down with our immersion blender, or if you don't have one of those, you can dump the mixture into a blender and just blend it up. We'll put it into a container, pop it in the fridge to chill for a bit, and then we'll be ready to use it and go on to the next step of our baguette with Camembert. Okay, so our next step is just to make our glazed walnuts. This is super simple, very few ingredients. So for that, all we're going to need are 2 cups of walnuts. You can use chopped, halved, or whole. We're using halved. I think that looks the best, but it's all going to taste just as good. We're going to use 3 tablespoons of white granulated sugar and 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This is a very simple process, and I'll show you how when we get over to the stove and put this over heat. To make our glazed walnuts, we're going to take our 2 cups of walnuts, heat them up in a dry pan over medium heat just until you can start to smell them. Once you do, add the 3 tablespoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter to the pan. Cook on medium-low until the sugar and butter are melted, and then just kind of toss about with your spatula until the nuts are nicely coated with this buttery sugar mixture. Spread the walnuts out evenly onto a cookie sheet lined in parchment paper and let them cool. Okay, so now that we have worked on the nuts and the cranberry jam part of our Camembert and Baguette, we're going to work on the main part of our Baguette and Camembert. Now, you may notice that we are not baking a baguette here today. That could be a whole show to itself, how to bake a baguette. So we're going to start with a pre-made baguette. You can use any type of French loaf, French bread essentially, baguette, a batard, any of those will work. We're not baking our own. We're just going to heat that up and get it nice and toasty. What we are making our own of, though, is our baked Camembert. And so we're getting ready to bake that. It's a real simple recipe. The first thing we need to do is just score the Camembert. When we say that, all that means is we're going to cut little like cross-hatched lines into the top of the cheese. So we're just going to kind of cut along vertically and then go across the other way. Essentially, we're just making a nice checkerboard pattern so that our honey can soak in. And then once we've got it scored, then we'll just put it in our baking dish and get it ready to put in the oven. So the first thing we want to do is take the container that it came in. It usually comes in a wooden container. Now, if you bought yours and it didn't come in a wooden container, obviously, please don't put it back in plastic. But this will help the Camembert keep its structure while we cook it. That way it doesn't just melt and go all over whatever you're baking it in. If yours didn't come in a wooden ring or an oven-safe ring, then you may need to find a very small dish to put it in. Since ours came in came in this ring, we're going to put ours in a larger dish. So we're going to pop that ring right in the middle, pop the Camembert into the wooden ring that it came from, and then we're just going to top it. We're going to top it with about 3 tablespoons of honey. So we'll just drizzle that over. We want to get it covering the cheese pretty much all over. You don't want one side to be sweet and one side not. So just get it all out, spread all over the top of our cheese. And then we're going to add some chopped rosemary. We've roughly chopped ours. I actually like to be able to see the rosemary specks, so don't do it too fine. This is about a ½ teaspoon, and we're just going to sprinkle that over top. Now we're going to pop this in the oven, about 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. When it's starting to look good and gooey and your honey's melted, then that's when you'll know it's done. So we'll pop that in the oven and we'll be back to plate it and taste it. Okay, so we have pulled our Camembert out of the oven. We left ours in for right about 15 minutes. The honey's just starting to caramelize. The cheese is gooey but not melted out. It's at that sweet spot. So the only thing left to do now is to plate it all up. And because this is our special festive holiday meal, we really want to make sure it looks great. So we're going to take the spiced cranberry jam that we made earlier in this episode, and because I like to use this big dish for presentation, I'm going to spread some of that jam around in the dish and make kind of a little cranberry wreath for our cheese to sit in. If you don't want to add this much cranberry jam to yours, or you just want to add a little bit on top, that's totally fine too. It's all in how much cranberry you want it to be and what you want yours to look like. You'll probably have noticed that the jam makes quite a bit, so you've got plenty to decorate with, or you can jar it all up and it makes great Christmas gifts. So I'm just going to spread the last of it here to close off our little wreath. We've also put a little bit of our cranberry jam over here to the side in our little serving dishes. You'll notice that we've added our glazed walnuts here as well. So just to finalize this presentation just a little bit, I'm going to add just a few sprigs of rosemary to our little cranberry wreath. It's just whatever you like, whatever you think will make yours look festive, but this is what I like to do. I also took some of the leftover fresh cranberries that I had and I just tossed them in a little bit of plain white sugar and made some sugared cranberries, and I'll just add these as well just to give it an extra festive little touch here. Kind of gives the holly berry top appearance when you've got the rosemary and the sugared cranberries together. I think it just looks so wintry and fun. And that's it. Once you get it looking the way you like, you're ready to eat. So let's try this out.
Hi, friends. Oh, wow. That looks fantastic.
It's so festive.
Oh,
it just looks like winter and holidays and cheer and fun and deliciousness.
Yes, I'm ready to taste it.
Let's dig in.
All right, so we just dig into the cheese.
Just dig in.
Oh, goodness.
It's a gooey mess.
Stuff.
And then just add some nuts, cranberries, whatever your little taste buds desire.
Oops. That's delicious. There's nothing better than some gooey cheese. Oh, and the cranberries is you can taste some of the spices in there. So good.
And just the perfect amount of tartness in those cranberries. Yeah, so if you make this, we'd love to see how you present it for your holiday feast. Make sure to use hashtag #BonAppeGeek whenever you upload it. Bon Appetit!
Hello, and welcome to the cocktail portion of our show, where we're going to make a potion from Witcher that you guys might know as Cat. Geralt makes this so he can see in the dark and avoid hypnosis. What we're going to use is actual berber cane fruit from the game. I went to White Orchard myself and picked this. Alternatively, you can also go to Middle Eastern markets and buy, I think it's called Zeresh, or barberries is the real world version of this. I've seen that if you can't find this, cranberries, goji berries, any kind of really tart fruit is going to work really well for this. On top of that, we're going to use some typical mulling spices. So I've got cinnamon sticks, got some cloves that I'm just going to boil whole, some allspice, maple syrup, pomegranate juice, orange juice, kirsch, and spiced rum for the white gall that goes into it. I've got some black pepper here. That's the closest I can get to Moliero. They say that the real world version of Moliero sort of tastes like pepper. It's called old man's pepper, so we're just going with regular pepper. So what I'm going to do first is take the berries, add them whole to a pot, these spices as well. I'm using ground allspice. This is 2 ounces of maple syrup. Fill in some sweetness to our drink. Going to fresh grate about 1 inch of ginger. If you know a spell to shorten this, by all means, go for it. There's the ginger. I'm going to add about 8 ounces of pomegranate juice. Now we add heat. So what I like to do is cast Igni. Right, so we have our heat, and I'm just going to hold this over here for about 10-15 minutes. Let it come to a boil, simmer. Once that's done, I will cool it down, and then we will make the rest of the drink. Hi, and we're back. So I have cooked the cat decoction, simmered it, cooled it, and then I also strained out the cinnamon and cloves just so it'd be a smoother drink. That's about 6 ounces. There was more left over, but it looked cool in that jar, so that's what I went with. Also made a chai sugar for the rim of our tankard. All that is white sugar, black tea, cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, ground clove, and allspice. So what you typically want to do to get a rim is take a piece of fruit, rub it around, laugh at your co-stars, and then just rub that on in there and you get a nice, neat, beautiful rim. So with that, I will take a shot of Kirsch, which is a cherry brandy. This is a spiced rum. Sailor Cherry makes an excellent version if you're looking for something. Put that in there. Added ice. Your cat potion. Top with orange juice. Stir. And bon AppeGeek.
Hello friends and welcome back. I am here for our main course for our Witcher holiday extravaganza, and we are making a beef bourbon. There's no B. I would like some bourbon, but it's beef bourguignon. Beef bourguignon, otherwise known as burgundy beef or just a fancy beef stew. We're going to keep on this bougie comfort food train here with this. There is a lot of ingredients, so let's get started. First off is our beef. I've got about 3 pounds of a chuck roast here. You can also use a brisket. They're a little more pricier, so if you want to be a little more economical, you can go with the chuck roast. Next up is the burgundy part of our burgundy beef, the red wine. This should be a wine from the Burgundy region, like Pinot Noir, but we have a Cabernet Sauvignon. It's delicious. Next up, we've got 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 cup of a medium chopped onion, 1.5 cups of carrots. Now these are a little fancy. I cut them on the diagonal to make it a little more bougie. Got some salt and pepper, 6 ounces of bacon. You can also use pancetta, but I like to use bacon because it leaves some bigger chunks behind. Pancetta sometimes just melts away. 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of thyme, and 2 bay leaves. All right. Now before we get started, we need to season our beef. This beef has been sitting out for about 30 minutes. You want it to come just about to room temperature. Don't let it hang out all day. Food safety is important. We don't want anybody sick. So we're going to we're going to season it a lot. Okay. So we want 2 teaspoons of salt. That's a lot. But that's a lot of beef. All right. And 1 teaspoon of pepper. And now you can put on some gloves or whatever, but we're going to get our hands dirty. We need to get in there and massage the salt and pepper into the beef. This will help it to tenderize and also bring it a lot of flavor. All right. So it's okay. We can go wash your hands. It's going to be fine. Just get in there. Make sure every piece is coated with the salt and pepper. All right. Now, I need to go wash my hands. I'm going to come back and gather up all these ingredients, and I'll meet you back over at the stove in just a minute. We are cooking our bacon in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. When it's just about crispy, remove, lay on a paper towel, and set it aside. Next up, we're going to sear our beef. We're going to do this in batches so we don't overcrowd the pan. Just keep flipping every couple minutes, and once all sides are seared, remove that batch and keep doing until all the meat has been seared. In that same pan, we're going to add our onions and carrots. We're going to cook those for about 10 minutes until they're softened, and then add garlic and tomato paste. Cook that for a few minutes, and then add our 2 tablespoons of flour. Once that's cooked for a few minutes, we're going to add our wine and beef stock and the rest of our herbs. Then the beef goes back in, bring it up to a boil, then reduce that heat, cover it, and cook for 3 hours.
All right, we are back to finish up our beef stew, because I'm not saying that word. It is looking good over there on the stove. It's just finished simmering. So let it cool for a few minutes, and we're going to work on our topping. For the topping, we have 1 cup of sliced cremini mushrooms. You can use any mushroom that you like. If you're lucky enough to have any of the bacon left that we made before, we're going to use that. 4 ounces of pearl onions. This was a frozen bag, half the bag, and I just let it sit out in the fridge. 2 tablespoons of butter to cook the onions and the mushrooms, and 1/4 cup of parsley. We're going to just cook the onions and mushrooms, and then add the other things to the cooked mixture. Add it to the beef. We are adding 2 tablespoons of butter to a hot pan. Once that is melted a little bit, we're going to add our cremini mushrooms with some salt and pepper. We're going to cook that down until it's a little softened, then add the onions and cook for 5 to 6 minutes until they're nice and soft. When they're all cooked, we're going to add our parsley and our bacon that we cooked earlier, and we are ready to top the beef. All right, we are back with our finished beef stew and our topping. Look how good the topping looks. We've got our mushrooms, our onions, our parsley, and bacon. And here we go. We are ready to plate. So let's get in there. Look at that. Oh, it looks delicious. It cooked down a lot. As you can see, it was all the way almost to the top, and it cooked down for those 3 hours. About half. Scoop around your bay leaves. We don't want to eat the bay leaves. Got pups. Pups smell the beef. They're circling me. All right. Oh, I cut a bay leaf. That's okay. I'll just pull it out. I'll get him. All right, and there we have our beef stew. We'll be right back to taste it. Okay, we are back to taste. Gus is ready. He's like, yep, I smell the bacon. He's convinced this third bowl is for him. It's just a topping. I've already put topping on mine. So if you would like some topping, that's just mushrooms, onions, bacon, and parsley.
That sounds like a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I'm piling it on.
Mm-hmm. Gus gave up. He's going to swing back around. All right, so now we are ready to eat. Bon AppeGeek.
Bon AppeGeek. That is delicious. That tastes indulgent.
Yes. This
So
will
good.
be a hit at anybody's holiday table.
Absolutely.
It's delicious.
And I know if you think beef stew, that's not a feast, but wait till you taste this. Oh, it is. It's
Yeah.
a feast in a bowl.
Yeah, this is a bougie beef stew. So.
Hello and welcome to the mocktail portion of the show. I know after a long day of slaying dragons and chimeras and drinking all the potions and stuff, I get quite intoxicated. So what I'm going to make for you is what Geralt uses to come down from that high. It's called white honey. So what we're going to use for that is some elderflower lemonade, rose water, ginger beer, lemon juice, and honey and rosemary. So what I went ahead and did was buy the elderflower lemonade that comes with rose already in it. You can buy it separate if you don't like rose. But I didn't want to mess up and add too much rose on accident, which is really easy to do. So always go light with that when you use it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take some rosemary, muddle that, use some mortar and pestle just for festivities. Put that in there. Do about a tablespoon of honey. I'm going with the local honey because supposedly that helps with allergies. do some ginger beer. I went with the strongest ginger beer I could find just because I like that bite that comes with it. Rose elderflower lemonade. Teaspoon, tablespoon of lemon juice, whatever you feel is appropriate. You want to stir all that before you add the ice, otherwise your honey is going to solidify on that ice and not blend in very well. And we'll top it off with ice. Throw some on the ground for good measure, and then go on AppeGeek.
Alright friends, we are back and we are ready to make the final portion of our Witchmas or our Witcher holiday feast. For that we're going to make a chocolate souffle, and we're going to walk you through how to do it, since unfortunately we can't just open our debug console and conjure up a chocolate souffle.
That would be great.
It'd be so much easier. So much easier. We could just go to bed.
Yeah, we're done. All right, here's what we've got. We'll need first chocolate. We have 2 different kinds. It's 6 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate and 2 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. And you can vary that if you want. If you want it more bitter, you can use more bittersweet chocolate. Or if you don't like bittersweet chocolate, you can use all semi-sweet chocolate. It's whatever you want. Next, we have separated 6 eggs. We have the yolks and then the whites. We're going to use those separately. And we've got 4 tablespoons of sugar plus 2 tablespoons to line the pans with.
Is that regular white sugar?
That is regular white granulated sugar. A half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. We all have these in our pantries and use them once a year for things like this. And this is 3 tablespoons of water. I was going to pick that up. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
So the first thing we're going to do for this is to get our chocolate nice and melty and then incorporate our eggs into it. And we'll do that in a double boiler over the stove. I'll walk you through it over there, but one of the things I wanted to go ahead and show you is what you can do if you don't have a double boiler. If you don't have a double boiler, then you can do what I actually like to do anyway, is to take a glass mixing bowl. Make sure it's glass, not plastic. We don't want you eating any melted plastic.
Nope.
And set that down inside of a just regular old pot that you would use to make soup or whatever, pasta sauce. It won't fit perfectly, but the point with that is to just get the heat from the water that's down in the pot up against the glass of the bowl. I think glass is really nice because it allows you to see a little bit better what you're doing, and that's especially important with a souffle where you could easily accidentally end up making scrambled eggs with the eggs. So we're going to head over to the stove and make that part. We do recommend popping your egg whites back in the fridge since we won't be using them for a while, and cold eggs work a little better in the souffle than room temperature.
We are adding our chocolate to our double boiler. We have 6 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate and 2 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. We also added our 3 tablespoons of water and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And in our double boiler, we just have about an inch or so of water. We don't want the water to touch the bowl. We just want the steam to melt the chocolate. Keep stirring frequently until it's nice and smooth. We're going to temper our eggs. We're going to add a couple spoonfuls of chocolate, give it a good stir, and then add the egg mixture to the chocolate.
Okay, so now we are going to whisk up our whites and make the fluffy part of our souffle. So we're going to take those 6 white parts of the egg that we had in the fridge. We're going to pull them out, dump them straight into a mixing bowl. I like to use a stand mixer for this because I'm lazy and my arm gets tired and I don't want to stand there the whole time. But a hand mixer works just fine. We're going to take our cream of tartar and go ahead and dump that in. And then we're going to start whisking this together. Now, whether you're using a stand mixer or a hand mixer, you want to use a whisk attachment. Obviously, get the most air in here as you can. We're going to whisk this up until what we call soft peaks form. So you want them to kind of hold shape when you pull the mixer up or you pull your hand mixer up out, but not fully keep its shape. You want it to just kind of and then sploot back down. If you overmix it, then that can give problems with your souffle's rise when we put it in the oven. So we'll get this started. I always like to start out on low, then kick it up to high, let it whip for just a little bit. It's really something you want to keep an eye on during the process. Okay, so my starting to form those soft peaks. And like I said, if I pull my beater up out of the mix, you can't really see, unfortunately, at this angle, but it just kind of starts to poof up but doesn't hold shape. So at this point, we're going to start adding our sugar in little by little and continuing to whip up our eggs until they come to what we call stiff peaks, and that is where they start to take on a glossy appearance. We pull our beater up and they hold their shape. They don't start to come up, but they stay up that time. What's really important here is to not overbeat them. So you don't want to take them past that glossy point. If they're standing up on their own, kick your speed down, really slow it down a bit, or stop if you can. If you have overbeat them, there's not really anything you can do to save them. So it's really important. Go slow with this, pay attention, and do this gradually. So we're going to add our first tablespoon in and just get to mixing a little bit longer. You don't want to beat for a long time after each additional tablespoon of sugar. You just want to get it incorporated because you really don't want to risk overbeating these egg whites. Alright, and last one. Now we're just going to get these up into stiff peak form and we'll be able to move on to the next step. Perfect. Okay, so now we have beaten our eggs until they are at stiff peak, which this is the point where we want to stop our mixer before we risk overbeating them. You can tell they're at stiff peak because you'll notice a shine to the eggs, and you'll notice when you pull your mixer up, your eggs will hold their shape, just like you see here. So when your eggs are light and fluffy but holding their shape, you're ready to go ahead and start mixing them with our chocolate. So Nora, if you'll come back and show us what to do.
All right. My big bowl of chocolate is what it looks like after it's all melted and we've added our eggs in there. Now we're going to fold in the eggs very carefully. We're going to do this in 3 batches because we don't want to lose any of the air. So it's a little stressful.
Just a smidge.
Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to dig in. Start folding. So to fold, you want to do like a scoop movement. You go down to the bottom and just fold it over the top. Very carefully. Hold your breath. It's the only way to make it work. Don't do that. It's not safe.
You will pass out in your souffle, and it will definitely fall in because your face will crash into it.
Yeah,
so we do not condone holding your breath while you cook.
Okay, this makes me so nervous. I'm going to add... Woo! There we go. It's starting to incorporate. You just want to be gentle. You don't want to smush the eggs down.
It's not a process you can rush. When you fold, you're necessarily going slow, so it'll feel frustrating, but it's worth it.
Right. We're almost there. And you do it in batches because you want to touch the, you want to work it as least amount as possible. All right.
You're going to, as you stir, you're always going to knock some air out. So as you incorporate more and more, if you put it all in at once, you'd really easily, the whole thing would be flat before it got mixed. But doing it in batches like this lets us get it nice and homogeneous without flattening it all out, because the last little bit hasn't been mixed anywhere nearly as much as that first bit.
You guys can like just go get some tea or snack. I'll still be here folding this in.
New season of Witcher just launched. You could probably get an episode in the time it takes us to fold this in.
No spoilers. I haven't started yet. All right. I think that's just about there.
So So you're going to look at it when it's mixed together and you're going to think, I messed this up. It's not big enough anymore and it's not mixed well enough anymore. Those are normal thoughts. Soufflés are ugly when they go in the oven. So if you're not very happy with the way yours is looking, know that we weren't very happy that the way ours was looking the first couple of times we did this, and then we just learned to go with the flow.
I'm still kind of freaking out a little, but trusting the process and being gentle with my eggs. I think that looks pretty good. I think we're ready to put it in some pans.
All right, so we're ready to put these in our pans and get them into the oven. You've got a couple of options. We like using these little individual size soufflés. I think it's easier to make sure they're rising appropriately and to keep that rise in the small ones. But they also make large soufflé dishes, like 2-quart ones, and this recipe will fit in a 2-quart dish. However you want to serve it works for you. These little small ones, they're not that specialty. You can get them at Target for like $1. So we're just going to fill these up just like you do when you fill up a cupcake pan. You don't want to overfill them, and you want to really make sure that you take your time and kind of clean around them. Just give them the best possible chance to rise up and not stick.
Yeah, I think these have a little rim to kind of use as a guide of where to stop.
It's going to be a messy process. We're going to get it done.
Oh, look what happened in my hand.
The kitchen fairy.
It's perfect. All right. Get in there. Oh, no, I'm touching it again. Be careful, guys.
Okay, so if you take a look down in here, you can kind of see that little lip, and that's where we just really want to fill up to. If yours doesn't have a little ring or a lip, just leave a little space at the top.
Yep. Mine's got a nice big chocolate blob on it. Okay, see, now you can see how to clean it because I'm in a huge mess.
That was on purpose, and we did it so that we can show you how to clean up. Everything is definitely thought out and staged.
Mm-hmm.
We never make mistakes.
Nope. All right. Yeah, he is a mess. He's a messy one. So that's okay. If you make a mess too, just grab a paper towel. Are my wishes coming true? I wanted a paper towel and look!
It's a Witchmas miracle!
Oh! Alright, it's gonna get in there then. It's gonna
Sure, yeah, have at it.
Almost.
Got one I need to clean up. All right, and so now we bake. We've got our oven preheated over there to 375, and we bake these for
30 minutes. Don't open your door. You want to just leave them alone. Trust that they know what they need to do.
While our soufflés are baking, let's make an eggnog custard sauce to serve with them. So take a medium-sized pot, add a tablespoon of all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, a 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 cups of eggnog, and 1 cup of heavy cream. Whisk that together in the pot over medium heat. Once you get to a simmer, you're going to take about a 1/2 cup of the hot eggnog mixture out and whisk it into a bowl containing 2 yolks that have been separated from their whites. Whisk that together until it's smooth, and then we'll add it back into the saucepan with the rest of our eggnog sauce. We'll kick the heat down to medium-low and whisk for a few more minutes until our sauce thickens up.
All right, so we've got our soufflés out of the oven. You can see a little rise here. You can eat them as is, or you can put some of that eggnog custard sauce that we made on top. I personally think that just gives it an extra festive holiday kick, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I've just put it in this cute little dish here, and I'm just going to take my little spoon and just drizzle some over. It's not elegant, but it's going to taste good.
Ooh, gonna get me some of that. All right.
All right. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
It amazes me how I can't wrap my head around souffle. It's just so good and airy, and it's hard to believe it's just eggs and chocolate essentially.
It's delicious.
Hey, so that was our Witcher holiday extravaganza.
It was a very magical time.
It was. And it was a delicious time. It was absolutely delicious. So filling. Just
And
amazing.
it was fun. I tried a lot of new recipes and I've never made a souffle before getting ready for the show.
I made a lot of disastrous things, as I mentioned in the intro, that were not souffles as a kid. And so it was really awesome to finally perfect one. I still don't understand how they work, but I love it.
And I think I listened to Toss a Coin to Your Witcher about 30 times between the takes. So,
It stayed stuck in my head
Sorry
from the
about
moment that we came up with this show till the moment we wrapped. It actually is still in my head right now.
Yeah, it's a catchy tune.
It really is. Yeah. No, I modded my Witcher game to have Toss a Coin to Your Witcher in it now because I'm just
nice.
this music is dumb. Give me Toss a Coin.
Very nice. I'll have to do that.
So what's your favorite dish?
That's a tough call.
It's also good.
I like all the stuff we cook always, or we wouldn't make it, obviously. But this one was really good. It was fancy. It was festive. I was a little skeptical about the Camembert because I don't like brie, so I was afraid I wouldn't like that. But I know. It's fine. Y'all can shame
It's up
me.
to here.
But I liked it. The beef Bourguignon was super good.
That was really good. You nailed it.
That was really filling. Wow, that hurt afterwards. I ate too much.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to give my favorite to the Mocktail. That was so good. I actually, from the time that we started planning this to the time that we got it done, I got sick in between. And that Mocktail was, the perfect, sick drink. It had some vitamin C in it. It tasted good. So I'm going to give my favorite to that.
I would agree with that. That was really good. Your drinks are so creative.
Thank you.
Wow.
I don't it's not a skill. It's just
Magic!
Yeah, magic.
magic.
That's what it is. My favorite was the souffle. The rise on that was really cool. It's just chocolate omelet, essentially.
Pretty much.
And then the eggnog custard on top was awesome.
Yes.
That was actually, not our original plan, as you probably remember. But I'm glad we pivoted to that. I liked it. It was really good. And it definitely, I thought, brought some of the holidays into a chocolate souffle.
Chocolate holidays. Nothing's better. I think my favorite was the Camembert, so no offense taken. I love Camembert. Camemberts are always on my Christmas Eve table. And then just adding the honey to it and the herbs and the spiced cranberry jam. That was my favorite.
Jam is so good. You guys know it made a lot of extra, and I've just been eating it on toast since.
Oh my
it's just so
goodness.
good.
Yes, please.
So the walnuts, I accidentally browned the butter on the second batch we made, and I normally don't like brown butter, and it actually really made it way better.
Yeah, that was so good.
And that's the fun thing is we come up with these ideas and then we practice them and then we do them for the show and they evolve, and it's I love that part of this show is just seeing how our ideas that we take from the show or the game or the movies or whatever evolve into something that we actually have on a plate and we love.
Yeah, or in my case, the mistakes that happen.
The mistakes are fun too. Someday we will release a blooper reel with all of our fun mistakes, but that day is not today.
That'd be a very long show.
Yeah, so I'm ready to wrap this and watch the rest of season 2 because it is starting out super strong.
It is starting super strong. I actually also want to go back to playing.
Yes.
So let's wrap this up. If you made our Witcher-inspired Witchmas holiday feast, we would love to see how yours turned out. We would love to see your whole holiday celebration. Show us your decorations. Show us your festive ugly sweaters or whatever.
Yes, I love stuff like that.
Thanks for watching, Henry. I know you're a fan.
Please don't correct us for anything that we pronounced wrong or we got wrong in the canon. Please, please, please. We are but poor amateurs. Actually, go ahead and correct us. I would like.
Yeah.
That would make my day. Like
The nice
Henry
thing.
Cavill corrected me.
Oh, yes.
But no, if you made this or you're Henry Cavill with feedback, use hashtag BoneAppeGeek on pretty much any social site. We will find you, and we'd love to see what you've done. Nora, you want to take us through where you can find us on socials?
Yes, we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all at BoneAppeGeek Show.
And Reddit now as well.
Oh, and Reddit.
We don't have a
yes.
subreddit, but we do have a username.
Very good.
Woo! All right. So we will be back in just under 2 weeks. We're going to have an early release on New Year's Day at 10 a.m. for our Critical Role New Year's Day brunch. I'm so excited. It's a pajama party. Feel free to wear your PJs and cook along with us. We'll see you then.
Bye, friends.
Bye.